To move from Milan to Middlesbrough, that's a big move. It's a change in scenery, completely different style of football, style of lifestyle. So what made you want to make that transfer?
Yeah, it was first period was very difficult for me in Middlesbrough because it was totally different lifestyle, totally different system of training, and also the facilities was also different because when I was in Inter Milan, we had everything. In Middlesbrough, we had a very big problem to find a training ground, good training ground. But after a few months, Steve Gibson built a new facilities, and I think the club improved a lot in a few years. And because Steve Gibson invested a lot of money in the club, because I think Middlesbrough for him is like a family, and also he did very, very important things. But first month was quite difficult. But after, because I enjoy fighting on the pitch, English football for me was very good. For my football style was very good. So I had a very, very good experience.
You mentioned about coming in and it being quite difficult. It was obviously a really unusual season when you came in right in the middle of it. But your first game as a Middlesbrough player, you scored against Sheffield Wednesday. What a way to introduce yourself to the fans.
Yeah. Yes, but incredible. It was very, very nice because I scored the winning goal in the first game. And I remember the atmosphere was fantastic. And I understood that that was my place.
A lot of Middlesbrough fans think, obviously, it ended in the heartbreak of relegation, but a lot of Middlesbrough fans would say if we could have brought you and maybe Mark Schwarzer in at the start of the season, it could have all ended a little bit differently because you had quite a big impact on the team and the defending of the team.
Yeah, it was a very important decision to stay there, even in Championship. But I stayed there because I love the club, I love the people. They have been always very nice with me, and so I decided very quickly to stay there, and also I had a very good relationship with Bryan Robson because I like him very much, and I hope that I can have a chance to meet him again, because I had a very good relationship with him, with Viv Anderson, with Gordon McQueen, and also with Steve Gibson. And so for me, it was important to keep going my experience in England with Middlesbrough.
What was the dressing room like? You know, there's some real big players and some big characters, you know, like your fellow Italian Fabrizio Ravanelli was a real character. There's Janino as well, Emerson. And you mix that with, you know, obviously Bryan Robson, who was the coach as well, and players like Craig Hignett. It must have been an incredibly high level of ability in that squad.
Yeah, it was from a technical point of view, we were a very good team, okay? But even if sometimes in the dressing room there was some fighting between us, between some players, but on the pitch we always we have been friends on the pitch. It was very good team spirit. Like I said before, but sometimes outside the pitch there are many fighting sometimes between Ravanelli with other players, but it was important to have good team spirit on the pitch. And in these things, Bryan Robson has been very good to keep a balance. But we had a very strong character like Ravanelli, like Nigel Pearson has been very important for us. Was very, very good captain for everyone.
I think that season, the first season that you were at Middlesbrough, although there was obviously the disappointment that came with it, a lot of Middlesbrough fans remember it really, really fondly, really happily. Just one game I wanted to pick up on particular, the game against Chesterfield in the FA Cup, another one where you scored a goal, of course, and that I think that game kind of summed up the craziness of the season, if you like.
Yes, yes, and also that was very important game with the low division team, because I think it was a second division, probably Chesterfield.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But sometimes that kind of game are very, very difficult. And as I remember, it was very difficult game. And but when we finished the game, when we won the game, the people from Middlesbrough went crazy, because to reach such important result, such important goal was fantastic for them. Very difficult season, because championship is one of the most, I think it was very difficult league, and we played so many games because we arrived in 2 cup finals, so we played so many games, and our roster wasn't so big, so all players play many games. But I think in the end we deserve everything we got.
You mentioned, just touched on it there, those 2 cup finals at Wembley in that same season. What are your memories of, first of all, the League Cup final against Leicester? What are your memories of that?
We have been very unlucky in that game, because they scored the last minute from our mistake. And when I think about that game, make me a little bit sad, because we deserve to win that cup. And when we do the replay game, we play against but I got injury, I remember, in the second half.
Yeah, I think it was 75 minutes that you went off. I was looking it up earlier.
We had also Ravanelli went off on the pitch. And after this, we had some problem. We lost the game, and unfortunately, we saw other people racing the cup.
And of course,
against Chelsea as well. I scored a goal against Chelsea. Was something like a dream for me to score in the cup final, but didn't finish very well. They scored. I think Di Matteo scored a goal.
Yeah,
probably some mistake from our goalkeeper, Roberts. I think was Roberts. And another time, big disappointed for the supporters. But no, this is football. Sometimes things like this can happen.
Yeah. Well, just yesterday was the anniversary of the Chelsea game, the Chelsea Cup final. So we put some pictures on social media, and the first thing that all the Middlesbrough fans always say is, Festa should have scored. It wasn't offside. If we had VAR.
I'm sure 100% it wasn't offside.
If we had VAR nowadays, back in those days, maybe it could have all been very different. I mean, incredible to play at Wembley twice, and then again you were there in the League Cup final the next season as well. Really, for a club that had only been to Wembley once before that season, to be there 3 times in the space of 2 years is just sensational stuff, really.
Yes, it was unbelievable. And also, I think 1 year later, not 1 year, maybe 2 years later, we lost against the Arsenal, and I scored on goal in the semi-final. Yeah. So my time in Milan has been fantastic, but with some bad, I had a bad time as well. And also, but the supporters have been very nice with me all the time. Even when I scored on goal and we lost the game, the supporter always supports me. So that's why I'm still a big fan of Middlesbrough, because I really, really have a good memories about my time there.
Because I suppose when after the first relegation, a lot of the bigger players went elsewhere. You know, Ravanelli left and Juninho and Emerson, but you were one of the ones who stayed,
Yes,
and you must have wanted to get the club back to the top division.
yes, and we did it. We did it after straight back to Premier after 1 year. Has been in one league like Championship has been fantastic for us. Very nice. Yeah.
And I think that when we got back up to the top flight, you were playing regular at this point for Middlesbrough, but Middlesbrough were probably more of a defensive team by this point. Do you think that's fair? Do you think Bryan Robson maybe learned from that first season and he learned that you need both sides of the game a bit more to balance things out?
Also for Bryan, he started to do manager and coaching. He was very young coach, so in the years he learned a lot. And also sometimes he has been very unlucky in some situations. But after when Bryan Robson left the club, I think Terry Venables came to, and I had very good relationship with him. But I had some problem with Steve McLaren, and so that's why I left the club, even if I didn't want to go, to be honest. Yeah,
of course, because Steve McLaren, Ugo Egiog had come in at that point, and Gareth Southgate had come into the club, so it was always going to be hard to keep your place in the team, I suppose.
But also, I had a big injury, so I was out of the team for a while. And when I came back against Everton, the 1st of January, and I scored a goal. I remember that, yes.
Yeah. You got a fair few goals in your time at Middlesbrough, and you seem to have, for a defender, you'd had a real eye for goal.
Yes, but I think the best one has been against Newcastle, because it was a derby game. It was in Middlesbrough, in Teesside, and I scored that goal. It was very good, and also probably against Southampton, the last 5 minutes, I went to play as striker. Even if Bryan Robson didn't say me anything, and I went to play up front and I scored a goal. That was very good. For defender, it wasn't bad.
I think we'd had 2 players sent off in that game as well. So
yes, bravo,
send a defender up front.
Right. Yes, 2 players sent off.
I remember when you used to score at the Riverside, they used to play the music for the Adams family over the sound system, and the fans had their own chant for you as well. So that sort of stuff, that relationship with the Middlesbrough fans that you had, it must have felt fantastic to play in the shirt.
Yeah, Uncle was the sound of Uncle Festa, Adam family.
Yeah, yes.
But now they can call me Uncle Festa because I lost my ears. No, that is a signal of something, some very special relationship with them.
And of course, as you say, you can look back with pride now on everything you achieved with Middlesbrough, coming so close to winning major trophies with the team, being involved in all those games. I'm just looking back in total, was there any particular player that you played with who you thought was the best while you were a Middlesbrough player, the best player that you played with?
We had very, very good players in Middlesbrough. Like Juninho, like Ravanelli, Christian Carembeu, Boksic, Marco Branca, Macaron. So we had so many good players, and also some very good English players. And so it's not fair for me now to say that this is better than another one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very, very good players, and some very strong physically, characterally, some very good technically.
And is the one game that sticks out in your memory as your favourite? We've touched on some already, but was the one particular game which you would pick out as your favourite?
For me, the first game against the Sheffield Wednesday, my first game in England, and I scored a goal and we won the game. That has been very, very, very good for me. It was very nice. And the second game, I think I broke Loma's nose by accident, and that another step through the Middlesbrough supporters.
One other thing I wanted to touch on as well. I saw an article that said that you used to do martial arts while you were in Middlesbrough, and is that something you still do now? Is that something you obviously you were involved in doing?
I did some martial arts more for my focus, for my mentality, for my concentration. No, I do something now like boxing with my son, some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But I'm very busy because now I'm a coach. So last year I was in Greece. So at the moment I don't have too much time to do martial arts. But I do something with my son, my young son. He do boxing, and so we do something together. We train sometimes together. But when you do my job, you have to study a lot. You have to watch. You need to watch many games. Even now, if I'm off of work, I'm always watching football or watching players. I study about the training. I watch other teams. Our job is because I do my job when I was football player, focused 100% in what I have to do.
Yeah.
And I hope one day I will be coaching in England. I hope so, because England now is the best for football, I think.
You must be really looking forward to the football coming back. I mean, I know we're all missing it, but for you, football has been your entire life, I suppose. So you must be really looking forward to getting involved again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I love football. It's my life. And I enjoy to training with the players. I enjoy to study the tactical. And I enjoy to speak about football with my colleagues, my staff. This is my job. I love it.